Oh, yay.
Great. We figured it out.
Oh, so happy. God, we seem so
Yeah,
busy. All right.
it's good to see you.
You too. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just trying to, be alert, but it looks like everything is getting clearer. I live pretty close to EBC, so I know there was like evacuation warnings nearby, but um, luckily it looks like it's all getting contained, hopefully soon. So hoping for the best. How are you, Janet?
I'm doing fantastic. If you can see the background, I'm still in Atlanta, Georgia, and enjoying a gorgeous weather.
Oh, so you don't know about
So
the fires over here?
I've been keeping up,
Yeah.
definitely. But I mean, my sympathies with everyone, and some of our staff live in Santa Cruz and San Jose, so they've definitely been affected by the fires and the smoke.
Yeah.
So, and certainly a lot of our clients have been as well.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you for tuning in today. I hope everyone is, safe out there. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Brenda, and I'm the program coordinator for the OASIS programs. It stands for Outreach and Advocacy Services for Immigrant Student Success at Evergreen Valley College. And so I work with undocumented students. So we do have an application process for our undocumented students. So you can find that on our Instagram through our link tree. If you want to apply to our program, but we provide book support. We collaborate with CET to provide legal clinics. We have immigration-focused workshops, and today we're trying out IG Live for the first time, and we plan to save this as well to share out with everyone after. And now I'd like to introduce Janet. So Janet, we've done an event before, and she works with CET, so I'll let you share a little bit about yourself.
Great. All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Janet Sosa. I work for the Center for Employment Training, Immigration, and Citizenship Program. All right. There's a lot to cover. I'll try to keep it every single day and every week. I'm glad we're having this event now, because if we would have had it earlier, we would have probably had two other events to clarify and update folks on everything that has changed since our last meeting in July. So I'll jump right into it. Today, I will be providing an overview and update around DACA, advanced parole, public charge, fee hikes, COVID-19, and how all of that is related and may or may not affect you, okay? I'll take some answers. I hope to also give some tips that we found useful both from our clients and from other partnering agencies. And ultimately, this is information that we've seen. It's not legal advice. It's just key points that I really want to highlight, misinformation that I want to clarify for people to really make the best choices for their individual lives. All right. So, DACA update. A memo was recently issued by USCIS, and I'll go very quickly over that. I can also send the actual copy. I really encourage everyone to read it. It makes a big difference to read the language that's coming from these agencies, and also read, the way we try to educate folks. The more you read, the better you'll understand what's going on and how the laws are affecting you today, all right? So very quickly, DACA update. USCIS is not accepting initial DACA applications. So that means if you've never had DACA before, sorry folks, you're out of luck. They are not accepting applications. Some of our partnering agencies did submit initial DACA applications, because for those who've been following the Supreme Court rulings, the Supreme Court just a few months ago said that USCIS should accept initial DACA applications. And from our if you joined us previously, you know that we said we're holding off because we want to see the response from the Department of Homeland Security and USCIS. And just like we expected, they are not accepting those applications. For the folks who did submit initial DACA applications, the memo says that your money will be refunded. And the rejection of this application will be without prejudice. So what that means is, and I'll try to be nice and positive, you can try again later when they decide to obey the Supreme Court. You can try again. So usually when an immigration petition, whether it's DACA or whatever you're applying for, if it's rejected without prejudice, that means that you can try again and they're not going to hold the initial denial against you. Okay, that's what that means. DACA will only be valid for 1 year. That's both for DACA and your employment authorization card, which is not good news for your pocket. That means that essentially the fee went up double, because you're going to have to pay that fee every year now. There are no fee waivers for DACAs. And I know in our agency, we used to have DACA applications. That is no longer a funding source that we can rely on, unfortunately. We're working hard to bring back that scholarship fund for folks to renew DACA. But as of today, that's not available. But do stay tuned. We've been surprised to see who's stepping up, who's saying, I will give you money to fund X, Y, Z. So let's stay positive and hope for the best. All right.
To add on a little bit, for anybody that doesn't know, DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So it provides a temporary work permit and also protection from deportation. So the biggest thing is definitely the work permit for our students too, and for everyone that's, DACA mentored. So did you want to add anything else on DACA?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not done with the DACA updates. So the other question we've been getting a lot from our clients is, when should I start renewing? All right. And in the memo, there were clear specifications that said, we will reject renewal applications if they're 150 days or if you apply too soon, they're not going to accept it. You should apply for renewal between 150 and 120 days from the expiration date. And I want to give an example because I know it's a little bit confusing. So for example, if your DACA and your EAD right now are valid from January 1st of this year until December 31st of this year, that means we're advising people to start contacting your legal provider, your nonprofit, whoever is helping you submit your DACA application. Start working on that application in August, okay? Why do I say August? It does seem a little bit too early. Well, because a lot of nonprofits, including law firms, private law firms, have been affected by COVID. A lot of folks have been laid off. A lot of folks have been furloughed. In our office alone, we've had to let go of 3 people, and everyone is furloughed. So that means that in 4 days, and our office is, and depending on your building too, a lot of nonprofits are not allowed to stay past normal business hours. So even if staff wants to stay there later, they can't, because the building says you have to leave by a certain time, okay? Most of us are working remotely, but again, less money, more work, more demand. There's going to be a delay. I also encourage people to become familiar with how services are delivered, meaning, does the nonprofit or the legal provider, are they only taking appointments by the phone, or is it a first come, first served basis clinic? All right. We've had issues with folks, and it's completely understandable. I mean, I get it. If you can't make it when the clinic starts, you can't make it, right? But if you're coming in 10 minutes before our clinic is over, chances are you're not going to be seen that day. It's just not reasonable to expect a full consultation to be completed in 10 minutes. It will not happen. So in that case, you should come during the next clinic or the next day, or just find out when the next available time is. So because things keep changing, that's why I'm encouraging people in the scenario that I laid out, where your DACA is valid from January until December of this year, to start looking into your renewal in August, okay? I also want to remind folks that there have been substantial delays in the post office, okay? So we have to take that into account. Money is an issue. If you need to save up, I mean, it would be great to have all of that, that application ready And then when you get the funds, send it. All right. But remember, it's between 150 and 120 days that your renewal has to be submitted. Also, one thing I do want to highlight, one quirky thing that the public should be aware of, because I think it has a potential to impact a lot of DACA renewals and potentially other immigration applications. So our staff, whenever we submit something for our clients, Raquel Brown is, she's on top of it. Every day she monitors the applications and their status to see what's been changing. So in one of the cases when she was doing her routine checkup, she found that a DACA renewal that she submitted was denied because of non-payment. And she said, basically, what the hell? Because payment was submitted, it was submitted on time, she meets the criteria, why was this application denied? So she jumped on the phone, was on the phone with the supervisor for about an hour and a half. And after she confirmed that everything was submitted according to their requirements and on time, they realized, oh, it's a computer glitch. For whatever reason, the computer rejected the application, even though it was submitted completely accurate and even though payment was submitted on time. So what the client had to do was show proof of payment, and then again, it's more of a bureaucratical thing that they have to take care of on their back end. And I want to highlight this example because it was not our fault. It was USCIS's computer glitch. And had Raquel not really looked and been so diligent, we wouldn't have known. And I don't know how long it would have been until we realized, oh my God, her application was rejected, So just, keep track your application, log on to the website. But I'm sure other providers are also being very vigilant about this. But I thought this was a very unique case. And so just, stay calm and try and figure out what is happening. Why is this being rejected, even though I submitted everything correctly? Okay.
I have a question real quick. So are there any organizations that you know of that are working to fight this, like DACA, STAN?
Which part of DACA?
Like just the 1 year.
Oh, God. I'm sure there will be, and this is part of the ongoing frustration that we've been feeling for the last 4 years. A lot of what you're seeing, again, if you read the Supreme Court's decision, if you read the actual law, the way it's being implemented by our leaders from the current administration, it's just legally not sound. It shouldn't be done that way. But just because something is illegal doesn't mean it won't happen, right? A lot of things we're seeing on TV, they're illegal, but it's happening nonetheless. And because of COVID, because everyone is just, I think, exhausted and we're all confused, it's going to take a while for those lawsuits to kick in, to fight. But I definitely expect pushback on everything related to DACA. There's been pushback on public charge. There's been pushback on everything that's been put forward related to immigration. There is, and I'm sure we're going to see it more in the upcoming weeks and months, but it's just not, it hasn't been filed yet. Yeah, but do expect it. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of appeals, a lot of, orders of stays. Yeah, it's definitely a unique environment right now. All right, I really do want to spend some more time on advanced parole as well, because this is another question we keep getting. And I always like to tell people the situation, and ultimately it's up to the individual to decide what's best for him or her, right? I have no control over that. But I do need everyone to understand that if you apply for advanced parole, there's a very strong likelihood that it will be rejected. It just, period. I want to remind folks that even if advanced parole is granted, USCIS has all discretion to still deny you entry at the border, at any port of entry, okay? Even if you have it in hand, they can still deny you. Okay, is it unfair? Yes. Can you fight it? I'm sure you'll try. So I'm going to give some tips for you all to consider. So first of all, yeah, the memo does say that parole basically won't be granted unless you fit an incredibly narrow channel. And it's basically if you ask a request for advanced parole, if it's to meet some type of national security interest, it will be granted. If you are in need of medical treatment that you cannot get in the US, that's a good ground. If you have to go to a funeral or some incredible, medical emergency outside the US, and even then, is it your child? That's a strongly likelihood that it will be granted. But if it's your uncle or just, a friend, I mean, my heart goes out to you, but it will probably be denied. Okay. Like I mentioned in our previous meeting, please consult with your legal provider before you apply or even consider for advanced parole. The pandemic is real, folks. That's one thing to consider. Number two, make a list of pros and cons of you making this request. If you still decide that you must apply for advanced parole, I encourage you to have an emergency plan for when you come back. What do I mean? Have the name of your lawyer ready to go and tell him or her, hey, I'm planning to come back on this date around this time. Have him or her be ready to take that call in the event that the border agents do not let you back into the country. A lot of things can happen. For example, USCIS was expected to lay off 170,000 people, I think, at the end of this month. Thankfully, that is not happening, all right? But that also means that because everything is changing so much, I don't know that everyone on staff has been trained to keep up with all the changes, right? So whether it's because they have some type of animus against you or because they really don't know who should be allowed back in, under what conditions, they might deny you. And ultimately, like I said before, they have full discretion. So if they say, no, even if you have that, I have my advanced parole here, you're not coming in. So in that situation, your lawyer has to be ready to do something to get folks on this side of the border rallied up to get you to come back home. All right. So be aware that that is a reality. It's not, but what if it happens? There's a really good chance that it can. So for that reason, at least in our agency, we're really encouraging folks not to make that request. Those who have requested, and we do have other partner agencies who went ahead and did file those requests on behalf of their clients. All of the ones that we know of have been rejected. And this memo says that that money will also be refunded to those folks, but we wait. I haven't heard if they've been refunded or not. Okay, so yeah, it's not looking good for advanced parole. And at this point, I mean, it's probably just out of the question. But if you do, be ready to have that emergency plan. All right. All right. Any questions or any additional clarification? And I don't mean this to sound like bad news. I just want you all to be prepared, right? Prepare for the worst and expect the best. It's, your life would just be that much easier.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to say too is, definitely for those who can vote, this is really crucial. This Trump administration has really been attacking our immigrant community. So even though, our all candidates, are imperfect, we need to continue our activism and, denounce this hatred against our immigrant community because they're getting charged more. I saw some of the pricing for even citizenship asylum fees are increasing. So they're really trying to make it really hard for immigrants to become citizens.
And that has been recently challenged too. So with the new fee hikes that are expected to go into effect in October, right? Applications for citizenship, I think, doubled. Now asylums are expected to pay $50 and asylums and refugees, which is insane. So I know a lot of nonprofits in the Bay have recently challenged that. I think just last Friday.
Oh, good.
So we wait to see what happens with that. But as of right now, the fees are scheduled to go into effect. So if you do qualify to apply for citizenship, do so now to secure that 600 something, I think 650 or $620 for the application fee. All right, public charge is another issue. We've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of our clients. Um, it sounds grim. I think all you have to do is just stay tuned to really understand that it's not coming from a benevolent place, right? This policy, but I want people to understand that in reality, it only affects a very narrow group of people. All right. If you are a U.S. citizen, it does not affect you. If you are applying to become a citizen, it does not affect you. If you are applying for a U visa, it does not affect you. Public charge does not affect you if you're applying for a T visa. That's if you've been trafficked and are now seeking refuge in the US. That will not apply to you. If you have special immigrant juvenile status, public charge will not affect you. If you are applying for TPS, it will not affect you. If you are applying for a green card renewal, it will not affect you. But again, always please check with your attorney, all right? This is not meant to serve as legal advice. This is to highlight key points. Every case is unique, and I'm always surprised to see how different laws intersect. And even though one person it won't affect, it will affect a different individual because of how they're getting immigration status. Also, if you're petitioning for refugee or asylee status, it will not affect you. So who does it affect? Well, it affects people who are applying for a visa to enter the US. It affects folks who are applying for a green card family-based petition, okay? So those are really the two categories of people that the public charge affects, all right? So now there is relation to COVID. We've been hearing from folks who are scared to get COVID testing, who don't want to go to the food pantries, who see ads for economic relief if they've lost their jobs and are undocumented, and they don't want to get that resource. Well, it's there for you. And again, if you don't meet that criteria, don't worry about it. But what if, I'm an undocumented farm worker, right? What do I do then? Well, one, USCIS has issued memos saying that if it's that during a pandemic, they will not hold public charge against you, all right? They've said that on multiple times, and I believe there's also a lawsuit that is challenging the public charge during a pandemic, right? It's a public health interest more so than an immigration thing. So that's being challenged, and the public charge really it's a test to see if the person is likely to use certain federally funded benefits. All right, the test looks at your age, your education level, your skills, whether you're employed, whether you're healthy. All right. So all of these things are taken into account. It's not just one thing. So they won't look at your age and say, oh, you're 55. You're probably going to become a public charge soon. No, that's not the way it looks. They will see, well, are you a healthy 55-year-old? Are you employed? Do you have a contract? Maybe you're some engineer at Google. Yeah, this is probably not going to affect you because you're probably making really good money and we need you to stay here, all right? So again, for those reasons, don't be afraid. And especially if the help or the resource is coming from a nonprofit, from a church, Catholic Charities, Asian Law Alliance, CET, your community college, right? If they're offering, here is a $20,000 scholarship for undocumented students, apply for it. Take it. It's for you. Use it. you won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're going to have so many people advocating for you and so many lawyers who need you to stay. We need your brain power. We need your skills. Stay here. Please use it. I know folks are afraid, but I promise you, nonprofits are not in the business of sharing client information with DHS, USCIS, government agencies, cities. We don't do that. We don't collect names. We protect that information fiercely. And trust me, so many lawyers would go up in arms if ever they would request your private information. We are very mindful of that. Literally, we have lock and key. I cannot tell you the extremes that a lot of the folks in our agency and other agencies are going through to protect your identity, to protect you. So if you see something out there, call, always, whoever you trust, go to them and say, hey, is this legitimate? Does this sound like a scam? Is this good? Should I go for it? All right. But if somebody's out there in a mobile clinic offering a free cancer screening, free COVID testing, free pap smears, free whatever, just use it.
Yeah.
Like I said before, we don't have enough manpower to record, let alone report to anybody. At this point, unless we absolutely have to, we don't track or report anything. We don't have the manpower, and trust me, neither do the government agencies. So, open your eyes. Like I know there's a lot of things coming against the immigrant community, but educate yourself. It's not all bad. And I know there is this gray glooming cloud that says, oh, it's all bad, but it really isn't. Look at the fine print. Don't get scared. Be educated. Come to us. Send me comments, send me messages through our social media. We will, if we don't have the answer, we will find the answer for you. But ask. Don't believe that vecino unless they're a licensed attorney. Okay? Come to us. We've been doing this for over 30 years. All right? We're not going anywhere. What else? Yeah, and I think there's been just if you haven't kept up with the news, there's now emerging challenges against Chad Wolf and what's his Kenneth Cuccinelli. So that's the head of the Department of Homeland Security and his deputy. A lot of watch groups have said that their appointment is not legal, right? So if their appointment is not legal, so whenever some of these federal agents and officials are appointed to certain roles, there's a process for them to be appointed. And a lot of watch groups that are there to protect us, the citizens, have said that those procedures have not been followed. So in theory, so the argument goes that since they were not legally appointed, ironically, then whatever enforcement and rules they try to bring forward and enforce are not valid. So that's relatively very new. We don't know. I think Chad Wolf is still being labeled as an acting head, but not not a replacement for Nielsen just yet. He has to go through confirmation. But again, all those lawsuits and all those challenges are going to take time. All right, that's just sort of in the back burner for now. Expect that to come to light very soon.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for like news outlets that we should follow for undocumented news and updates?
Oh, that's a really good question. I can send a few news sources. I mean, really, it's very plain, but PBS does a fairly good job at just laying out the facts. I can send a few other sources too. Yeah, I can send that to you and post it to our social media. That's a really good one because I've been finding a few other, we've been seeing a resurgence of like either nonpartisan where it really is neutral, very bare bones, or just very like local grassroots people who are looking at the law and really keeping up with what's going on in their local community. So I can definitely send some of those links your way. Yeah,
great.
That's
Yeah, I usually find like the Immigrant Legal Resource Center provides a lot of good updates too.
So
Yeah.
actually, I would say IRLC, NILC,
Mm-hmm.
who's the other one I go to a lot? SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, um, Immigration Lawyers Association, basically any agency that has been here for a long time. If it's lawyers by law, I mean, they have a license, right? And if they've been advocating for immigrants, that's a fairly good, solid resource for you. If it's coming from Catholic Charities, it's probably going to be pretty solid. If it's coming from us, we triple check everything. If it's coming from the Silicon Valley Foundation, it's probably going to be good too. If it's coming from your college, I mean, I have yet to see misinformation coming from the colleges, from the newsletters, from it all seems very accurate to me. Um, and then also go to the government websites. I mean, hear it from the horse's mouth. Don't rely on Facebook postings. If they say DHS said this, go to the DHS website. I won't lie, it's really boring. It's not physically, it's just plain.
Long.
And yeah, and you need a dictionary to get through most of what they read. I get it. But you can confirm to the actual government website. Okay, so go to them. They can be held accountable. We can't hold accountable, these like trolls online, but the government agencies might take a little bit of time, but
Mhm.
eventually they'll be held accountable.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me see if I have any other take-home points that yeah, there's so much, and I know it's very tiresome.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
something that, there's always new news, and, we do our best to also try to keep it updated every time. So thanks, Janet, for providing all those updates. But yeah, I mean, feel free to ask any questions to everybody. Like I said, we are recording this, so we'll continue monitoring this video. And we work very closely with CET. So CET is going to continue doing legal clinics at Evergreen Valley College. So for our students and for our students' family members, we're going to have CET provide legal consultations once a month. So our first one's going to be at the end of September. So we'll be sharing that on our Instagram, our newsletters. But we're really thankful for CET. They're very reliable and they have a lot of great resources. Yeah, so feel
yeah,
free to add anything else.
yeah. Check our social media. We try to put in a more digestible manner all the
Yeah.
updates we hear about. Where we answer questions. We have been getting a lot of questions around all these topics, and I can send out a quick answer. Okay, so feel free to reach us through social media. Um, Actually, I do want to have a quick. We're going to be recruiting volunteers. We are going to sponsor a citizenship workshop. So for those who are familiar with our work, know that every April we put an event at the San Jose Community College where last year we actually helped submit 1,200 citizenship applications in one day. Um, so because of COVID, that event was postponed. And but I mean, because of our remote restrictions, we're going to have several virtual events in September. And we're going to be working in collaboration with a lot of other nonprofits in the South Bay and private law firms. But one other thing too is we're also working with Santa Clara University. We're getting ready to gather DACA stories. We want to hear from DACA recipients. We're still working on what that program and what that project will look like. But I do want to give people heads up. If you're a DACA beneficiary and you want to be part of this project, know what it's about. We are literally in the beginning stages of the planning. Contact me, send me a message. You might not hear from me right away, but I will keep you in mind for this project. We still don't really know what it looks like. We're literally making it as we go, but it's something to keep your eyes out for. If you do want to help us, let me know if you want to volunteer. We're always open to taking volunteers right now. Okay, so send me a message. What else can I say? Please complete the census. It is so important. Please, I know I sound like a broken record. If you've already completed, go to your neighbors, go to your family members, go to your friends, and please submit that today, and register to vote. Some of the folks who are here might not be eligible to vote, but you can get online and push people to vote. You can tell them how to register. You can tell them where to go, who to call. That is within your power. You can still make a difference even if you are not eligible to vote. Educate your family, your friends, your neighborhood, okay? Please do that. This election is not one we should be staying home for. We just cannot afford it, okay? And again, we're here. Send us messages. We're always looking for people to collaborate with. We're always happy to answer questions. Do not be afraid to reach out, okay?
Yes. And just to add to the census, everyone can fill it out, including undocumented immigrants.
Yes, and you should.
Yes.
And I won't go over all the myths that even my own family had about the census. I can tell you they are myths. We need you to fill them out, okay? We really do.
Yes.
Yeah, and if folks have questions, I will be very happy to answer them or clarify anything. I know I have a tendency to talk really, really fast.
You were great.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Janet. I think, if there's anything else you want to add, I'm not sure if there is, but I think that was really good information. And we'll just stay tuned with what happens and we'll provide updates.
Yeah, and again, be ready. You'll hear one lawsuit this week and you're going to get a counter the next week. And honestly, I don't expect a solid answer on any of these issues at the earliest until next summer.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I hope I'm wrong, but that's, for now, that's my theory on things. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for your time. We're sending everyone positive vibes.
Yes.
Stay strong. We're here for you too. And like all those action items that we said, make sure to be out there, advocate. So thank you for your time. Bye, everyone.
All right, folks. Bye.